Welcome to the Hotline for today, Thursday, the 13th October 2022. Good to be with you. Always a pleasure having you. We know you have choices, so we're very happy when you come here, and we're even more delighted when you find reasons to stay. This is the Hotline. The media release from the Broadcasting Commission, which communicates the directive banning songs promoting illegal activities and such the like, could not have come at an earlier time, in my view, or better yet, should have come long ago, in my view. And not only that, I am on record here as saying the reach of some entity, whatever that entity is, it has to be broader, it needs to be broader, because there is one media called social media which remains unregulated and becomes the conduit for the publication of all things lewd, obscene, debaucherous, whatever adjectives you can think of. And I continue to express my discomfort and part company with those who think that this concept of free speech, or whatever freedoms we think that people have, those freedoms must be so wide that you can line up ships of whatever widths or dimensions, and they must be able to go through the width of these freedoms without trouble. I cannot countenance, as many times as I rock this whole thing through my head, I don't understand how people think societies must exist with such unbridled freedom to the point where they become absolutely ungovernable, completely unequal because there's monitoring and regulation of a space like free to air, but then you have an unbridled social media where people get up and they say anything, any hate speech, any promoting of anything they want to do, and they tell you under the guise of freedom of speech that it's supposed to be allowed to happen. And that is part of the reason why when Twitter, though I'm not saying that they are to be the space to monitor, I think there must be jurisdictional regulation on all of these social media entities. But when Twitter blocked Donald Trump, that block could not have come earlier, in my view, because of the absolute hate, the almost immediate response, the mobilization of the alt-right people that was taking place as a result of the tweets put out by the president at different points in time. You had people making not good trouble, but bad trouble as a result of what was coming out. And you could have strife, the foment of strife, from the output of people in diverse places, reaching people at different points in time in their little corners. We saw recently, there was also a banning of this guy Kanye, who has changed his name to God knows what now, because of the hate speech that he's putting out. And there are some of us who seem to believe that hate speech is speech that is to be allowed under the guise of free speech. And I don't know what societies can operate in that kind of way. So nobody is stopping you from creating your music, glorifying Molly, or glorifying murder. And you can continue to have debates about whether it is art reflecting life or life reflecting art. I'm not quite interested in some of those nuances. All I know is the impact coming from music. And when I say music, I am not talking dancehall or reggae music. I'm talking music on the whole. The impact coming from the things that we watch. The studies have shown that there is manifestation in people's actions based on the things that they consume. I mean, a simple thing like when you're going to bed, all of the people who study sleep patterns and how to calm the mind, they tell you that certain things you're not supposed to watch before you go to bed. In fact, you're not supposed to be even looking at screens because it interferes with your circadian rhythm, and the things you watch, depending on how violent they are or even how much of an action the thing is, it can actually disturb the quality of sleep that you get subconsciously, let alone when you're conscious and imbibing the lyrical garbage that comes to you unannounced sometimes in these social media spaces. The problem with the social media is that because of how it developed, and because there are now billions of people who are on the platform, governments are going to have absolute difficulty, if not it is impossible, for them to regulate it in some kind of way. But it needs regulation. So I completely support the Broadcasting Commission doing what the Broadcasting Commission has always done for free to air. But we have to ask ourselves the question, what about those who have already cultivated an appetite of getting their music from elsewhere, and those media are going to be allowed to continue their publication ungoverned, unmonitored? What can be done about them? In all societies that I know, rights must collide. So it's a healthy balance between the different rights that all societies need to strike. I don't know what that balance is, because there's probably no barometer of accurately measuring or saying what obtains in one society will obtain for the other. But for those who come with the argument about free speech, every time you hear that something is going to be regulated, you talk about free speech. Nobody must have any right to any free speech that is of a certain color, of a certain content, that is hate speech, that is glorifying criminality, particularly in a country whose murder rate over the last 20 years has been on a particular trajectory. Yeah? So I'm with you 100%, Broadcasting Commission. And you do not wink in the face of this debate, because we've been winking too long. Close eyes to things, and the things mushroom out of control. Now, back to this Clifton land matter. Because it is clear to me, having advanced an earlier position last week, based on questions I've had to ask on this program about the procedure taken by the Prime Minister, he having spoken in the Parliament the night before Wednesday night. As I said last week Friday, there were a lot of things I was not clear on when the Prime Minister spoke. I listened back to the Prime Minister no less than 10 times last week, his presentation in the Parliament, and I listened to him again with the presentation of Tuesday evening. Part of our problem in this country, the thing that has set us back and will continue to set us back, is partisan political empty bickering. I'm always completely understanding that the role of the opposition is to oppose. And dissent, voices of dissent are important to democracies. Alternative views should be welcome at all points in time. But if one finds that one is being unnecessarily antagonistic and being antagonistically empty, then one needs to reassess the thing that gets us activated around a cause, and how do we land in the positions that we do. What I understand from the Prime Minister, you have this parcel of land, Greater Bernard Lodge area, a substantial portion of it called Clifton proper, around which sugar workers took up positions and obtained rights in law, that those portions of the land in Clifton are now the subject of the people who occupy the land getting the land, titles to the land, and letters of possession have been given to some of them by agents of the Sugar Company of Jamaica, because they recognize they've been there for the requisite number of years as legitimate, hard-working sugar workers in some instances, and others who have come up. As happens with a lot of these areas that are settled, you go in because of the way in which the settlement originated. You don't have proper roads. There's no planning, development planning. You don't have proper street lights. You don't have any water. A lot of things are not there. Crucial amenities. So when government decided to embark on the process of regularizing and giving titles to the people by getting subdivision approval, obtaining splinter titles, you then end up having to move some of the people who were there. And to move them, they created this reserve area immediately adjoining Clifton, so that those individuals who are going to be receiving title could have somewhere that they are going to be repositioned. In the middle of the, people probably took their eyes off a lot of what was going on, and these structures started going up for people who were never authorized by the Sugar Company of Jamaica to take up residence in the reserve, Clifton Reserve area. And before you know it, by the turn of 2022, January, there were structures going up in another section adjoining the reserve section in the agriculture section of this community. And I'm deliberately not using Clifton because, as I said when I spoke to one of the people last week, we have to learn to listen well. We may fail at it sometimes, because I certainly do, but it's not deliberately so. Because the Prime Minister tried in Parliament from last week Wednesday to say the area he's making reference to is not Clifton. So anybody who comes on this program, you have a right to your opinion and your erroneous conclusions, but you don't have a right to your own facts. So what he said was people started putting up structures in immediately adjoining the reserve area in the agriculture belt. And SCJ people who are the holders of the interest, because the title is in the name of Sugar Company of Jamaica, because of what was happening in this area next to the reserve, they were afraid of doing what a legitimate title holder can do in the situation where somebody who is not purporting to be a squatter, they're not saying that they're squatting. In fact, from what I know, understand, none of these people was really occupying any of the structures. They are purported buyers of the structures, buyers of the land from someone. No. If I own a piece of land, I know I'm the owner, I have title. And when I look, I see structures going up on the land. I want the structures off. I know they've been there for a year, 2 years. As I said last week, I want the structures off. I couldn't care less who it is who is alleged to have sold the land. All I know is I am the owner and I didn't sell. So if I come in and I bulldoze the structures put up by these third parties, these third parties need to go and find the persons who said that they sold them the land to go and seek their remedy against that person. And as a matter of fact, from my little understanding of the law, if those people who put up structures were tenants of the owners, then even if the tenancy run out, if there's a written agreement and it runs out, they, by virtue of being tenants, they were fixed with certain rights by law. And so, if the landlord-tenant relationship exists, I as the owner, even in the absence of an existing written tenancy, I couldn't just forcibly enter the premises and take back the property. But that is where a landlord-tenancy situation exists, because they have rights as tenants. In this case, I do not believe they have any rights. And so even the idea of notice, the giving of notice, it is a nice gesture. But I do not know that under the circumstances, it is even absolutely necessary. So I think some people's comments on this are perhaps a bit misplaced or convoluted, because we are bringing in other matters into the issues before us. Remember that this property is held by Sugar Company of Jamaica. It operates as a company which operates sort of as an individual in the law. Yeah? So some of the things we're saying the people should have got, I do not know, having a better understanding of what obtains, that they really, I don't know who we're saying they should have got them from. I don't know if there's any branch of law that says public entities, if we consider Sugar Company of Jamaica to be that they're guided by different standards from what obtains for private individuals. I do not understand that to be the case. But what I do know is that if we attach a great level of truth to what the Prime Minister said, which is that the so-called vendor of the land was not SCJ, and whoever the vendor is or was had no right to sell. And if the vendor is really somebody who was a part of a criminal organization, can you imagine the sort of extortion that the people who bought the land and who were in the process of putting up structures on the land, can you imagine the lifelong extortionist scheme that would take over that particular community? If the legitimate owner was so afraid of removing the structures because of all that they heard about whoever this person or these people were who was selling, can you imagine the lifelong terror under which these so-called purchasers would live, with the need to constantly give to whoever this vendor is who doesn't have the right to sell? And that is the kind of thing that I understand has rightly disturbed Andrew Holness. And we have to be intolerant, impatient, uproot where uprooting is necessary. Conduct of this nature. And it doesn't help the situation when we ask why this community. Probably what we should be asking is why not? Yeah? So the politics of the time is going to be our undoing. Because there are no proper positions that are taken. Because people are jockeying. People remain silent to see how the conversation develops. And wherever they think the majority of the views are going, then they jockey to that side. Yeah? And that is a tragic flaw of leadership. If you can't take a decision in the moment and be prepared to be unpopular for the decision you take, that is a tragic flaw. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Right. I'm just looking at a statement here from this Advocates Network saying the Clifton demolitions highlight need for land reform policy and more. It says a number of things, including also of particular concern to the Advocates Network is the exceptional hands-on role taken by the Prime Minister in what would normally have been a routine exercise carried out by the relevant authorities, as well as the appalling manner in which the exercise was conducted. illegal occupation aside. Aside? How can they put illegal occupation aside? Stories and images of residents standing by, devastatingly helpless as their homes were reduced to worthless pile of rubble, are more than enough to ignite deep sympathy and empathy in even the most uncaring among us. That this was done at the highest level of executive leadership is troubling, since there is no effective oversight or constraint of executive action by the people's representative in Parliament. As Gleaner editorial of the 10th of October pointed out, it meant that there is no higher authority to appeal to, unless the matter reaches the court. Well, perhaps the matter should go to court. Maybe the Advocates Network can say, what is the cause of action? Where are you going to start with firstly? Who is going to bring it? And what is their cause of action? I'd love for them to explain that to me. I had concerns last week about why the Prime Minister. Well, the Prime Minister told us. The SCJ, if we were to believe him, said they were afraid because of what was happening, so they had to take it to the National Security Council. If anybody can think of what is the cause of action that the people would have against the whoever it is, then I can seek to expand my brain on it. And somehow we keep up arms race. And we must know when we are keep up arms race. 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. Hello, 2178. Morning.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
How are you?
A pint of water, please. We can't start this morning because there isn't enough person sitting now. Hello?
Well, the truth about it, you see, is central.
Yes, please.
I watch that house every week. And they have been starting bang on at 2 o'clock.
Yes, please.
For the last however long. Yeah? Something happened yesterday, and as Warmington explained, there was something happening in his constituency. Yeah? Maybe they should have put it another day, but I'm not gonna make a fuss about that.
Okay.
Late start. I'm not gonna do that now.
Okay. So before we start then, based on what you explained to me, so we can start then. Okay, so we are looking at repossession of property this morning.
Yes.
How someone goes to get repossession of property?
From whom?
All right.
From whom? From a tenant?
Me as a person, some person come and squat on my property way down at the last end of it. How do I and what do I do to get repossession of property?
Well, if it's a squatter you're dealing with,
yes, please,
and you know that the person has not been there for just start put up shop on your land.
2.5 years, because every 3 years I go up to the property.
Yes, 2.5 years.
Yes, please.
The law tells you that you can employ what they call self-help.
Oh.
Which is to take off the person. But self-help is not advised, especially not in Jamaica, especially if the people are living in the property. You don't do that. If you do the self-help, blood might run.
Okay.
So, and then if you do the self-help and the person believes that they've been there for over the 12 years.
No, 3 years.
No, if they believe they were there, exercising control, exclusive control over the property, then they can sue you in court and ask the court to declare that they have dispossessed you of the land and that they are the lawful owner, and they can actually get damages for the things that you've destroyed. That's the first stage. So you can go self-help and face the possibility of them suing you and asking the court for declaration and consequential orders. The other option is, if you're not sure how long them did it, and you don't want to embark on the self-help process, which is to go get them off, then you can bring an action in court asking the court for a declaration that you are the lawful owner and that you have not been dispossessed of the land.
Okay.
But as I say, to bring a court action, you need to know who it is you're suing. You need to perhaps have a name. Yeah?
Okay.
You probably won't have a problem serving the people because you said the people take up a portion. So you're going to serve them. And if you serve them and the name is not correct on the papers, then in what they call the acknowledgement of service, then they can correct the name when they are filing the acknowledgement of service. So that is the other route that you can take. You, the owner, can go to court, seek a declaration, and then after declaration, you seek consequential orders, which is order for possession and therefore removal of the people from your land.
Okay. So we're going to the adverse possession of property now.
That's where you are.
No, I didn't go there.
No, that's where you started, the squatter.
No, repossession I started, Or someone get repossession. I never say adverse possession, but you go to the adverse possession. But it was repossession I started from.
Well, the thing you see.
Yeah.
The law presumes.
Yeah.
That the paper holder.
Yeah.
The person who holds the title.
Are even the taxpayers receipt then?
No.
Oh.
That by itself is not anything much.
Okay.
So, but in let's say in unregistered land, there's a presumption that the person who holds the paper is the person who actually possesses the land. But it may be that somebody else is saying, you hold the paper, but I'm in exclusive possession, which is why the whole repossession and the squatter thing is tied up. Let me go to a break. Yes.
Please.
Essential.
Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. So, but let me also say, even though you talk about squatter, you're talking about essential. I want to go back to the comment I made in my opening.
Yes, please.
Hold on. If the person who is on the land is your tenant, I have a tenancy agreement, a written agreement with the person for 2 years or so.
Yes, please.
And the tenancy agreement run out. The fact that the tenancy agreement run out, it doesn't mean that you, the landlord, can go and run the person out of the house and take it over. Because that person now has rights, as they call it, a tenant at will. And there are rights under law that attach to the person being a tenant. Okay. So if you want the tenant out, this is when you give a notice to quit. And if they don't do the notice to quit, they don't abide by it, even then, you cannot go in and take possession. This is when you have to go to court now for possession against the tenant. So we have to understand what clothing is this person wearing to know how to treat the person in law.
Okay.
Yeah?
You know that it takes them 2 years to remove the
you're breaking up.
Say, I've been going through that process 17 years ago, though. The evict person, but...
Tenants?
Yes, please, but I am going back to the Bail Act now because I struck 2 more things from the Bail Act.
You mean the bill?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I struck 2 things from it. And I was put it against the first regulation was set out in some other Bail Act, in the SOE detention provision, as in Regulation 30, authorized person to act in a manner. So these are the authorized person which you mentioned of is the judge, the JP, and a superintendent or a rank above. Those are the authorized persons.
Under the bail bill?
Yes, please.
But look at the definition section.
Say it again.
You have this. You have the draft bill there?
I don't have all I know, Mr. Millie.
Yes, well, what you need to do is to look at the clause 2.
Yeah.
Clause 2 will define for you this authorized person thing. Let me see if I can find it. Although, as I said to you, this thing here is going to go through the different rounds in Parliament. So, if not the clause, then the section that talks about authorized person will define authorized person, not section, because it's not yet a law.
Regulation.
No, the clause. When this thing is not yet an act, we say clause.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have to see how the clause defines authorized person, and I can't find it now because it is not in clause 2, which is the definition section.
And which is the section 14 under the detention provision, and the detention provision specific of post-bail, pre-bail, or one other one, I don't remember, because...
Bail pending appeal.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
This is clause what, 14?
No, this is section 14 under the Constitution, the detention provision. Persons let out and charged without bail.
Yes.
So is that pre-charge or post-charge or whatever is going to rescue this part of it?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm looking at my Constitution. I don't know. 14.1. 14.1 say no. 14.1 says no person shall be deprived of his liberty.
Yeah.
Except on reasonable grounds.
Yeah.
And in accordance with fair procedures established by law.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the following circumstances. And the 14.1F says for the purpose of bringing him before a court in execution of a court order, or E, the arrest or detention of person for the purpose of bringing him before the competent legal authority on reasonable suspicion of his having committed an offense, or where it is reasonably necessary to prevent him committing an offense. So, I don't know, it looks to me like the pre-charge bail could
override this section?
No, nothing can override the Constitution. But it looks like 14.1F, which allows for the deprivation of liberty of somebody on reasonable grounds that his arrest or detention is necessary for the purpose of bringing him before the competent legal authority. That perhaps it can be that section, that clause in the new bail bill can be it can be compatible with 14.1F. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't talk law on a fly. You see, law.
Yeah, man.
It's whole heap of reading and thing you have to do for thing there. Don't even give opinions.
So that you can come back to me on a professional level.
Don't give me no homework. Me play it full. Play it full.
Sometimes you don't make me sleep, you know.
I must have been named Freddy Krueger.
The amount of things I have to go through, man. Sometimes I frustrated me. I say, oh, me to fit this and this angry. I have to fit. No, I have to wait till the people's lawyer come and tell them.
Freddy Krueger, you go about your business. I've got to go now. Enough of you. Take care.
Yes, please.
All right. Have a great day, East Central. 9267615. Morning.
Hello? Morning.
Hi. Who is
Is this Shield? Morning.
Yes, how are you?
You know, you talk about this land thing over St Catherine.
Yeah.
You know, so the same thing is going up at Harbour View over St Benedict Heights and Bayshore.
And what?
Man sell land all 5 times up there, no?
Mm-hmm.
To one person, and the baddest man with the biggest clout, with him friend them to get the land, you know. So why Prime Minister do no wrong with it, you know? Because some people keep doing things and feel this well is alright, you know. You understand?
So who am I talking to?
A listener.
A listener. What's your name? I must call
No,
you.
man.
Just a listener? Just a listener, I must call you?
Yeah.
So, who is the original owner of the land?
No government.
Or government land?
Where they mid build the harbour house them up there, so I be sure, and they mid say the side slippery. Right, harbour drive. So therefore, they never will finish the scheme there, so. And squatters come in.
So who is on the land now?
Well, Operation Pride at them, we rescue people them. We buy land from the bad man them, the PNP bad man them, you understand?
How you know say it's PNP bad man?
Then, and they don't know hide. You see, that we do at Jamaica, you know, we like dig hole and put certain things, you understand? You see, sometimes we have to speak up, you know. Even if the whole of we are going to have, Marcus Garvey did for your cause, you understand? Mrs. She didn't know so right, the corruption. Some people are do things for so long that them feel just say it's not right, you know, and you know, nobody enough to talk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people right now I use illegal light from 2008, you know. You understand? Mm-hmm. And nobody not say nothing to them. And every time JPS come and cut it off, them put it on back.
Mm-hmm.
And then go on a step further right now, where them put in all the AC and connect the AC in the meter panel, you understand? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody enough is say nothing, you understand? Because of corruption and collusion and commingling, because when GPS come, you see them same workers, them are million and then collect what them forget, you understand?
So,
and go on.
So when one person sell the same piece of land to all 5 people,
then you know cause conflict, because me say my one other because look at that one little receipt, you know. We don't even stamp, you understand?
But tell me something, how we come to be buying land like that? We don't know, we're not supposed to buy land like that.
2 people desperate and a man who am liquor man and a man who a liquor man, you understand? And them something that go on, you know. So everybody go on a cacao, but you have to take a stand somewhere, you understand? We can't go so. We can't allow field marshal for renegade the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Thank you for the call.
Yes, ma'am.
926-8631. Morning.
Honestly.
Hi, who is this?
It's Eddie.
Yes, welcome, Eddie.
Yeah, you know, I must not, claim that I'm not really a favorite of this Prime Minister or his government, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is just the truth, and the right thing is just the right thing to do. And if every one of the political leaders was taking the stand as this Prime Minister took that idea, things would be better. Things would reach to this now, and I 100% agree with him.
But is he doing it because he hears that one is mostly PNP people over there? Why hasn't he done it for the other ones? That's the question some people are asking.
Well, that will be the only thing that will cause the difference. Now we have to see what he's going to do from now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can remember, when this thing just started and the soldiers was over there. One of the girls who was demonstrating said that no land is not still over there is lie. I was listening, and little more it was proven that a guy come there who buy land and build a house. Right? So there's a lie going on over there, some conflict going on over there. And I believe the Prime Minister did the right thing, but what he must do now is go on and do it at all areas.
But you see, he runs a great risk, Eddie, because politically, this thing can play one of 2 ways. You will either have people who will absolutely commend you for it, or those who will absolutely condemn you for it.
Yeah.
And usually prime ministers are kept out of the fray. They have their men, either a minister of mobility or whatever else, who acts, and they don't step in the fray. But he answered the question in the parliament on Tuesday. He said, people say, aren't you afraid of not winning? He said, I've won 3 terms already. And you have to take a stand.
Have to.
Yeah? On some things, you have to take a stand.
Have to.
And I think this is one of the situations where hearing what he said SCJ represented to him and that it had to go to National Security Council, I can understand why things were done. Remember, all of the houses were not destroyed.
No.
The ones that were unoccupied in the agriculture era, they say.
Yeah.
And they've asked people to come for. Imagine this. People say that they bought land. They're putting up large structures on the land. And from last week, Thursday, you know, come forward to say, oh my God, it is my place. I bought it. I have decked the area and whatever. Please, this is the basis on which I'm saying this area belongs to me. Don't touch it. Up to now, all of the other people they've asked to come forward, we understand they have not yet stepped forward.
That is to show that something is really wrong, something not right. Something is not right. So I believe we done the right thing, and more leaders must do as what he done. Don't matter about the political fallout. The right is the right, and to the end, it will stand out.
Thank you for the call, Eddie.
Okay.
Yes. This is the hotline. This person on Twitter, I don't know why I'm going to read the rubbish, but I will. How are you to be talking like that, Emily? Don't know what it is that you're really trying to say. Wholeness describe the people living on the land as criminals. You see, this is the sort of thing. I don't know why I'm giving oxygen to this, but I am. This is not what I heard the Prime Minister say. Yeah? And I don't want to. I think there comes a point, really. There comes a point when we either going be on the side of truth and forming opinions on the basis of truth, or we don't want our untruths to be disturbed by truths. Yeah? I never start out my conclusions on the basis of something that is wrong. So when you come with it on the basis of something that is wrong, I don't even think I should be giving you the oxygen. So I take that back. CO2 for that. Headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. All right, 876-926-2178, 926-8631, 926-7615, and 1-888-991-2080. 2178. Morning.
Morning.
Leonard.
Yeah, I'm not talking about Liz Truss today.
Are you going to talk about Kwasi Kwarteng?
I'm not talking politics. I have a more concerning matter.
No. How is Kwasi?
He's in America.
Oh my God. What is going on in your country, Leonard?
What is going on in yours?
I'm very sure what is going on in mine. I have a very, very competent finance minister. Extremely competent finance minister.
Well,
in spite of all that is going on, our economy is stable.
I was there the other day and I was not happy.
You were not happy?
I was in your country the other day.
Yes.
And I was not happy.
Well, that is something you're going to have to deal with internally. Because we're a happy people.
Well, it's something to do with one of your bands, one that you advertise a lot about.
What?
So, basically, I have an NCB account in England. So, I have online banking.
Yes.
So, my mother died, so I was transferring the money for the funeral.
Oh,
so when
no.
The money would be there.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear.
On the 2nd of September, I phoned them. They go, because I couldn't log on to the account because something to do with a token, RSA token. So I phoned them and they said, okay, we'll get back to you. Oh, they couldn't, they had to handwrite the case for something was wrong with their system. This was on the Friday, the 2nd. I phoned them on the 5th. They goes, okay, we'll get back to you.
What do you have, a hard copy or electronic one?
Electronic banking.
The token I'm talking.
The token is in electronic.
Electronic, okay, because I do have the hard ones.
So, Anyway, so I get to Jamaica now. I say you can't phone me on the 7th because I'll be travelling, but you can phone me anytime after 4 because I'll get in for that time. No phone call. Go to the bank Thursday now. Big queue to customer service. Massive queue. Anyway, I sent my brother to go and change some money. Then I sent him again to go and change some money. And a little altercation developed. The man's asking what you're doing in the bank. So I intervened and whatever. Then I spoke to the guy. So basically, I managed to see that the money was transferred and the money was there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to go to the counter. I had to write a withdrawal slip from my sterling account to my Jamaican account. Then I had to write a withdrawal slip from my Jamaican account to the funeral director. And I got a banker's draft. Meanwhile, the funeral director is in the same bank as NCB. So I would have transferred that money electronically. So I incurred a cost. Anyway, come back here now. Up until now, I can't see the bank account. I don't know what's happening. I can only access the Jamaican dollar one.
Mm-hmm.
I can't access the other one. Hey.
Hold on a moment, Leonard. Let me take a break, please.
You're listening to Radio Jamaica 94 FM. Registered now. Institution for Workforce Education and Development IWED offers 6 form studies free of cost. Located at 1 Eureka Road, Kingston. Call 920-472125. The time by Manpower is now 16 minutes after 10.
You're now listening to Emily Shields Talk with Substance on Hotline. Radio Jamaica, active for the good of our nation.
Anyway.
So basically, I'm awaiting this token up till now. That's from the 2nd of September. That's the be all and end all.
Yes.
So I sent them an email. So I sent an email, they responded to me, and then they say, oh, we've been trying to get hold of you, we can't get hold of you. So I'm thinking, if you check, I sent you my account number, you should realise the phone number I'm giving you is an overseas number. You're not going to get through to my number by dialing that number locally.
Anyway, you got through now?
No, I'm still waiting.
Okay, so we'll see how we can assist you, because let me tell you something. This is the view I'm taking now. If you go to England, you can't even walk into NatWest and see customer service just like that for transfers and so forth. All sorts of appointments have to be made. You have the same problems with Santander. If you're calling from here to any bank in England, you wait over hours upon hours upon hours. So don't call down condemnation on our banks as if we are such worst of the worst.
The point I'm trying to make is the online system here is very effective. I haven't been into a bank in this country for a year or so. Everything is transferred.
No, but
I moved from one account to the other.
But Leonard, what you're telling me is that there's a glitch. NCB told you they were trying to reach you. It so happens that you were in transit, they didn't get you. What I'm going to try and do is to ensure that you get back your electronic token. But I'm telling you, in the context of banks around the world, and the difficulty that I certainly have reaching banks from other jurisdictions when I'm in Jamaica, I'm not going to put my people to the bottom of the barrel. I will help you sort it out, but enough of the condemnation on my banks here. Full stop.
Well, I'm not the only person having these problems.
I'm sure.
I know other people who have NCB accounts who can't get their things sorted.
Yes, I'm sure. But I'm going to help you. And I will encourage NCB to do better, but I will help you so you can get your token, because I'm very understanding of the incapacity. And I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of your mother.
All these apologies, we're sorry. That doesn't wash. Get it done.
Get Brexit done.
No, that's a different argument. That is...
Oh God, no, nobody from England cannot call me to complain about my country. I am because the state that you're in is absolute bottom of the barrel, and you have been there for so many years.
Listen, we go through cycles. I remember...
Yours is not a cycle, Leonard.
Hang on, there was 300 million people unemployed. Everything was falling apart.
Oh,
Interest
God.
rate rose to 15-16%. People mortgage doubles. I've been there before, but not at this level.
That's right. Not at this
I've
level.
been there before, but if you're going to trust 160,000 people
Yeah.
to vote for an incompetent person
Yeah.
who couldn't get herself out of a wet paper bag,
Yeah.
and they're still in denial,
Labour has
That's
changed
right.
that. Hasn't Labour voted to change that so that the vote doesn't come only from the party supporters?
No, but
At a Labour conference the other day.
Yes, some things are entrenched in this country, yeah, and some people are not willing to let it change.
Oh.
But if you decide to give people who are earning £150,000 a year to remove the higher rates of tax at the benefit of the lower people, that is common sense. I remember when I was getting $2 for a pound. I remember I was getting $202 for a pound.
What year was that? Not in the 90s.
Last year. Last
No.
year I was getting...
No.
Hang on, I was getting 202, 210 for the pound.
No.
Last year.
210
I
what?
was
210 what?
210 Jamaican dollars for £1. I have the transactions. I send money to Jamaica all the time.
No, we've never gone there. I don't know where
210.
you got that. Must have Clifton Brown give.
I'm sure you know. I know that place very well, you know. And
Good for you.
They never call it Clifton. It was part of the Bernard Lodge Sugar Estate
Yeah.
where some of the workers used to live. They call it another name. I can't remember now.
Clifton. I heard the MP saying Clifton.
Clifton. I know it pretty well. So the housing section is different from the farm section.
That's
It's
exactly
somewhere
the
I go.
point. Yeah.
I've been there several times.
That's the point.
I know people who live there.
Yes.
So the thing is, the thing that needs to happen, I can talk, they need to reform the Land Registration Act. If you're going to capture a property, what they've done, let me just explain, because 1925 Land Registration Act, they changed it 2003. And one of the clauses in, if you're going to...
That's the UK Land Registration Act.
Yeah. If
Yes.
you live on a piece of land for 10 years, and you can show that you've occupied it, it will automatically be sent to you. What they've done in 2003, the Land Registration Office informs the owner, and that owner has got 2 years to get rid of who's on it. If nobody responds within the 2 years, it is yours.
Oh, that's the State of Land Registration Act in UK now?
Presently, yeah.
I didn't know of that reform.
2003 Land Registration Act. That's how long that was. The last one we had was 1925.
Yes,
That one.
no, that's the first one which has been amended, but I didn't know of the 2003 amendment. So who informs?
It's not an amendment. It's not an amendment. It's a complete new act.
Oh, so the 25 one was repealed, and there's a new Land Registration Act of 2003.
Yeah.
And who notifies the owner, you say, the paper title holder?
The land registration.
So
basically-
so hang on. How does the Land Registration Office know that there is somebody who is not the owner in
Because
occupation?
the person who applies for the title name does not fit. Is not similar to the same person who owns the land.
So what if the person who is applying for the title does not apply after 10 years? He applies after 20 years. What happens to the original
Whatever
title
period
holder?
he applies to the land, the owner is informed that somebody else is trying to acquire the land.
I have to check that, Leonard. That's really interesting. Because you
Okay,
know the decision from the House of Lords, I think it was, the J.A. Pye in Oxford. And this was a man who owned must be over 100 acres of land. And there's this farmer who occupied the land with his cattle, I think, reared his cattle on it for a number of years. To the exclusion, the owner just didn't show up. And it was such an absolutely hard case. I remember the decisions of the law lords saying how difficult the decision was for them to come down on the side that the farmer who had the cattle on the land, he has dispossessed the paper title holder.
I'll give you an example that happened in Jamaica. Grandfather had a piece of land. And he said that my half uncle said to my dad, can I sell me that land? And my dad goes, no, son, I'm not selling the land. You can work on it. And this guy, when my dad died in 2005, this guy, nobody saw him or heard from him. When I look, because I've got all the documents of these lands, when I look at the folio number, I realise he's paying the taxes for a period. So my sister was in Jamaica, and I said, you need to go and pay a year for the land to interrupt his occupancy.
No, that by itself doesn't interrupt it, you know.
But what he's showing that somebody else has been, because his rule he used to say, I've been paying the taxes on the land. I'm basically working on the land. Nobody's disturbed me on the land.
Yes.
So that by paying that, it would have been anyway. In the end, she went to the tax office. We got there before and paid. I said, why did you pay for the following year? In the end, when I checked the folio, the land moved from Alan Richards to this guy's name.
Yes, the valuation roll, the tax roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
And did he obtain title as well?
I don't know if he obtained the title, but he's sick now, so I don't know if he's going to carry it with him when he's dead. I don't know. But you see, these are the sort of things. Land is a serious thing. I can't understand. I was brought up in a house where, you see my dad said, how can you buy land without title? And you don't belong family land. I've grown up here, my father saying these things. You need and you need to see a lawyer. You don't buy land.
You can buy land without title because they can have deed. You can unregistered land, right? But even now, what we're trying to do is to get first title, first registration for every parcel of land in Jamaica, because title has a number of certainties, and one of the certainties.
What is complicated for a guy for my granddad who was born 1900 and whatever? They went to change the title to other people. They want to know somebody who knew this guy. And the majority of the people who know this guy had died.
Yes.
And to be fair, my great grandfather was buying. I've got the paper here. The title buying land from 1899. He's got his diagram. He's got all his various of his children he used to send to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
Because for some reason they used to keep paperwork and have documents in an iron chest.
Yeah.
All the paperwork. So I can't understand how people buy land without proper stuff.
No, it's against the statute of frauds as well. It's not supposed to happen like that.
So how come they're not talking about the person who sell the land? How come they're not trying to go after
it is crazy. But not only that, they're talking, it's like the government must go after the person.
No.
Because the Prime Minister says there's some criminal activity involved and the national security is involved, then it defies common sense if they're not trying to find the person for prosecution for whatever.
Another thing here, you can access the land register and see who owns what.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a property that I put a charge on. Yeah? And that was like 20 odd years ago. I had a beneficial interest in it.
Yeah, a caveat we call it.
All I did, I found up the land registry and I put a charge on the property, give them the details.
Yes, the same can happen here.
And there's a charge. I don't know. Anyway,
the same thing can happen here, where when you put a caveat, if the person on the title is going to do anything with the land, then the registrar has to notify the caveator that some action is being taken.
Another thing they do here, they move the conveyancing from the lawyer to they have conveyancing technicians.
Oh.
So that quickens up the period for transfer.
Why? Why and how does it quicken up the period?
Because it takes a lot longer. under the old system.
Well, how long would it take there?
A couple of months. Now they have a conveyancing technician. Obviously, he's working with lawyers, and that's his area.
Working with lawyers. Because you
So-
see, in Jamaica, it's sort of normally 60, 90 days because sometimes the purchaser is
But
getting
on a whole,
a mortgage.
on a whole, land law is very complex.
Yes.
You've got registered and unregistered land. It is just difficult.
All right. I've got to go. It's good to hear you. Say hi to Kwazi Kwartang and Liz Truss. Have a great day. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. NCB, you really need to step up your customer relations. Yeah. Frankly, as much as we cuss the banks down here, I don't want anybody, whether you're Jamaican and you don't live on this little rock here, I don't like when people call and curse about us. So I'm going to make sure that Leonard gets in touch with somebody at NCB, somebody who has actually helped me out with the electronic token before, and we make sure that it works. Because it's a grand inconvenience now when you can't get your banking transactions done online, especially because they don't have a fee attached, but they're so convenient. All right. News just coming to hand. We are learning that Noel Maitland, the policeman who's been charged with the murder of Donnelly Donaldson, was denied bail a short while ago in the Home Circuit Court. So, remember now, that whilst the court is duty bound to consider bail, the court is not duty bound to grant it. I know earlier in this matter, some people were of the view that it's like bail should not even be considered. But the court, having considered the bail application, a short while ago we learned that the learned judge has denied bail to Constable Noel Maitland. I've been made to understand that the judge has said she's satisfied that if granted bail, the accused would perhaps not make himself available for next court hearing. He would flee. And other reasons given in court. This is the hotline.